I thank God for that.
It's safe to say that I'm trying to win, trying to go to places I never been. A sin, cause in the wind you win. Those clothes is how they should have been. See, mine ain't all, but in between, I'm hoping.
When you look at Melbourne and you look at its people, you start to realize that people of different ethnicity, people of different cultures, people of different backgrounds, people from everywhere. And hip-hop, I feel like hip-hop will always be reflective of its surroundings, and because of that, you're gonna have all this different cultures mashed into hip-hop as well.
But yeah, there's theatrics, there's it's like dudes like GMC, he's Asian, it's crazy dude.
Yeah. When you think about it, but you don't even notice until you ask the question. You think about it.
Yeah.
And a lot of the old school kings and old school Australia was the European, like Greeks and Italians.
like
kings.
Fucking.
And it's like the shift of music, like the hip hop scene is really more like reflective of like the population that's coming in. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like in the migration and the people who are now arriving and whatever. Like
It's pretty much exactly reflective of the people who are coming in. Yeah. Melbourne definitely does have a diverse hip hop scene. Whether that's represented on the radio or what gets seen and put out there for people to see, I don't think that's the case.
Melbourne is a very multicultural place. I think its hip hop's very multicultural, but I think there's still a strong national identity coming through, and a large majority of it to me has something that ties them all together, something similar about it, an Australian style, if you will, of their own. So yeah, I don't know if it necessarily reflects a whole lot of multiculturalism. I think there's more a tendency to try and push Australian hip hop towards reflecting an identity, a singular identity, if anything.
Give me your money, dude.
Aussie hip hop is basically just white people. It's just a white people. There's no like diverse. There's like Aboriginal rap scene. It's separated. There's like anyone that's a bit more street or put something else in their music is separated, and it's all a bit separated. And Aussie hip hop's become this like traditional boom bap shit. It's not really like boom bap at all. And to me, it's just a real safe genre. It's like replaced Powderfinger and stuff like that as like the go-to. Your big act is just like a thing. So, there's anything wrong with that, you know? Powderfinger are good.
I fucking hate the term Aussie hip hop. I really do. I mean, I grew up listening to people from all over the fucking world, and there's one thing which is it's great to be proud of where you're from, but there's a whole new generation of kids that grew up only on Australian hip hop. They have no idea where it came from, the roots of the music. I mean, to understand and to appreciate the music in which what everybody else grew up on or what their favorite artists grew up on is an important thing in my opinion. Like where it came from, how it developed, where all the breaks and samples came from. I didn't get into doing this to make music for a bunch of people.
A bunch of fucking
Australian dudes with Southern Cross tattoos that run around and say fuck American hip hop. Fuck that. That shit is terrible.
For use on trains for gain, threatening commuters.
I guess I do think that we did make a mistake by, putting a sub-genre and making it Aussie hip-hop, because, we are a young nation still, and there's still people that migrated here or that weren't born here, or they were raised here for the last 10 years or something, where they're not comfortable with saying they're Australian yet. Some people are obviously more comfortable with it because they've been generations and generations they've been here, so they've been taught they're Australian, So what is Australian really, But in that sense, there's still people that are uncomfortable to say they're Australian, and you got to respect that too, for whatever reason that they have, attachment to their country, And they're making hip hop too, so I guess in that sense I've seen it, I've heard it firsthand where they're like, oh fuck that Aussie hip hop shit, and I'm like, come on man, you're in Australia, like what's the difference, like you're in Australia, you're making hip hop, like just I think that's where it became wrong in that sense, where Australian hip hop was, like you ask anyone and it's that, I guess it's that white fella, rapping on the mic, or or the tall skinny guy, you know. None of us are tall and skinny, we're all small, and you know, most of us are all fat.
When you say Aussie hip hop, you're putting a brand on it, like it's only got to sound this way. And like we always say that Australia is a multicultural like country, you know, where like every race can live. I think more of like it's like saying Kylie Minogue, you know, like we don't say Aussie pop for Kylie Minogue, do we?
Yes.
Like you know we don't say Aussie pop, you know, like it's she's a pop star. I think hip hop is hip hop, you know, regardless, you know, like.
And I think that term Aussie hip hop actually doesn't open it up to any other cultures in itself. Sorry, but that's what I really feel. I think because the pioneers of the hip hop who've come through in Australia, because they have been white, I think they put that term on there. So the audience of Australia, when they think of hip hop, they're going to think of them because of the whole term of Aussie hip hop. And for me, I don't think that really exists. It's just hip hop, you know. Hip hop came from America, and yes, there's all different kind of beats that it can sound. The music can sound different, but you know, you're still rapping, and the context of what you're rapping may be different depending on where you come from. And I think that comes into play in terms of the multiculturalism of the artists, the rappers, and that.
I will always come from a respectful perspective, but if we want to talk up above the food chain for those that are making it big, I feel like it's Aussie hip hop dominated, just for the sake of this argument and labels and how we can categorize these things. And that's cool. And cats like Pez and 360 and Hilltop Hoods, they have keen followers, very keen followers that I had never seen before. When it comes to other cats though, and when I say other cats, you know, got some like up and comers, I would probably put them in the bracket of community and grind. And when I say grind, I mean the uphill struggle to try to get recognized. It's a bit more, I mean, it's hard to say, but I know that there's good music out there from everyone, but whether they get their chance to shine is a different story.
Yeah. I feel like, I don't know, I mean, when we started out, we started with our community, you know, and we'll rap it, all the stuff that we're rapping about was more relevant to our community, and, you know, because there's a lot of problems with Lebanese youth here in Melbourne and in Sydney, and like the Muslim youth and things like that. You know, that's what we know. So we started with that, and but when we we felt like we were a little bit disconnected to the wider sort of hip hop community in Melbourne, and I just felt like you know, there's a bit of tension, there's a bit of sort of haters, if you want to use that term. I don't know, but you know, and so it made us sort of withdraw back to our own sort of community, because that's our comfort zone. And you know, I mean, we're still passionate about it. We love hip hop. We love sort of, you know, relaying our story. But yeah, it's just a shame that that those minorities within Melbourne aren't represented as well as they should.
You know, I guess what it comes down to is in America, the reason why hip hop was, I mean, the essence of it was talking about struggles of a minority, and the white Australian community is not a minority here. We are a minority, so it's sort of we're able to speak it in its real essence of what hip hop was originally represented as.
You know, I'm friends with all different people of all different nationalities, and they're all rhyming, they're all killing it. You know, and we're all talented musicians. And it's just good to see. I mean, to me, that's what hip hop's about. Like, everyone getting together and, you know, displaying their skills and getting down, and it shouldn't be excluded to any group or any, you know, religious belief or anything like that.
I really don't think that mainstream Australian hip hop is representing as much diversity as it should at the moment. I think, to be honest, I think the labels are always, you know, treading that line, trying not to scare anyone off. But I think they need to harden up and just represent us as we are, not just you know, what's the safe option all the time.
Make no mistake, brother, concentrate. We wanna live in harmony in our own state. Make no mistake if you can't relate. Perhaps it's not me who needs to assimilate.